Okay, welcome back to my channel. Name's Josh, also known online as Meadowbro. So this is kind of my big first video back besides the small, update video. So this is going to be my Halloween video. I'm just going to be talking about, basically Halloween movies and show, episodes and video games and stuff that I did throughout the month of October. Um, Went and changed to put my like ugly Halloween shirt on. I have a better Halloween shirt, but I wore that yesterday when it was actually Halloween, so you guys get this one, which I kind of think is a fun shirt, even though it is definitely ugly. But so I did quite a bit of Halloween viewing and stuff this year, but not nearly as much as I wanted to. Not nearly as much as when I was a kid and we were fully watching either Disney Channel's Halloween stuff or the ABC Family at the time, now Freeform, but their Halloween programming. We were there was something every night Halloween related when I was a kid. I feel and wasn't able to quite keep that up this year. I got at least some kind of episode in every day, except for 2 days where there was nothing. Because I was just way too busy and passed out the second I got home. Also, in the spirit of it being November 1st, I am drinking my pumpkin spice coffee out of a Christmas mug while wearing a Halloween shirt. But anyways, so I started the month off by watching started it with just watching a couple episodes of Treehouse of Horror, which ended up being there's a lot of nights during October where that was all I got in was Treehouse of Horror, because most of them are pretty solid. Specifically the Treehouse of Horror Simpsons episodes stayed good a lot longer than the overall episodes did in the later seasons. I didn't quite get through all of them because there are 30 something, because we're in season 30 something, but I got through 21 or 22. I'm not going to be going super in depth and individually reviewing Treehouse of Horror episodes, because it would take forever, and they weren't all super memorable. But overall, always a really good time. The intros are always super fun and well thought out, I thought, for the Treehouse of Horror stuff. But that ended up making up quite a bit of my Halloween watching, which, like I said, was fun. It's enjoyable, but I'm a little disappointed in how often those were all I saw. There's a lot more that I had wanted to watch that I just didn't get around to, especially, namely, Friday the 13th. I wanted to watch the original, and it just didn't happen. Partly because I couldn't really find it. And then I knew where I could get it, and I ran out of time. Which isn't to say I couldn't still go watch it now. It's just I wanted it to be part of my Halloween viewing. So at the beginning of the month, I also had an ambitious goal of streaming Halloween-related video game stuff every Friday night, and that also didn't quite end up happening. Fridays were either busy for me, unrelated, or just too tired from work, and worked early Saturdays a lot of the time. But the beginning of the month, I played Slay Away Camp, which is really fun. It's a little puzzle game. It's very based on Friday the 13th, and other slashers, but that's where it most clearly gets its basis in the earlier levels and stuff. Very heavily stylized, blocky puzzle game where you are have to find a way to kill everyone on the map without dying or getting caught or anything. I'm sure there are videos of it and stuff out there if you're interested in seeing footage and stuff. I don't have any on me at the time. I lost quite a bit of footage from earlier in the month. It's at the same time as I lost my Skyrim save because I just accidentally deleted a bunch of stuff on my computer because I'm stupid. But Slayway Camp was super fun. There might still be footage of it left up on my Twitch if you go back to the beginning of the month. So then, after Slayway Camp that same night, I played Friday the 13th, the game, and then some Dead by Daylight. If you know either, you kind of know both. They're pretty similar games where it's one killer and a group of survivors. There's a bigger group of survivors in Friday the 13th. But I like Dead by Daylight a lot more. It's one of my favorite games. I stream that very frequently, regardless of if it's October or not. So that's something you can keep an eye out. That's also Dead by Daylight specifically is also something that will definitely be getting its own like videos of me playing it on this channel at some point. I'm also, if people are interested, I think it'd be fun to do a video just talking about slash me kind of reacting to, because I don't know a lot of it, but like the Dead by Daylight lore and stuff, because it's a super fun game that I really enjoy. So then a couple days into October, I had a day where I was able to watch quite a bit. So I watched The Haunted Mansion, which I hadn't seen in literally years. And overall, it was still really fun. It's definitely not like a good movie, but it's enjoyable. My biggest issue with the Haunted Mansion movie is just with the and I can't even think of the character's name, but she's the one in the crystal ball, and she's very leans heavily into a lot of Romani stereotypes, and they do use the G slur, and I did not appreciate that. But the rest of the movie was still enjoyable, albeit not great, and a lot of the acting was very not good, but in a fun way. And so then after Haunted Mansion, I watched another Disney Channel one, which was Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, which I had actually never seen before. Somehow had always been one I had somehow missed as a child. It must have been just like we were either doing something whatever nights it was on, or watching something on another channel or whatever. But that one I really, really enjoyed. It was very silly, but like, just because the concept is silly, but like overall pretty well executed. I really thought the acting was actually pretty good, and like shout out to the child actors because they all did a pretty good job. So overall, that one was really, really fun. Sorry if I'm going to be sounding repetitive here. And I'll try to edit some of that out. I'm not very good at video editing yet, so we'll see. It might all get left in. But I would recommend Mom's Got a Date with the Vampire. Oh, definitely recommend it over Haunted Mansion. It was like overall still not like amazing masterpiece movie, but like overall a better movie and super, super fun Halloween watch. After Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, I finished What We Do in the Shadows Season 2. If you have not seen the What We Do in the Shadows TV show, pause this video, go start watching that. It's incredible. I had watched Season 1 last year for one of my podcasts, Dumb Binge Binging, where I talk about movies and TV shows with my best friend Tegan. We had watched What We Do in the Shadows Season 1 for that last year. Then early in the month of October, we finished season 2, and then we've been mostly keeping up with season 3, but I haven't seen the last few episodes of season 3, and I know something major happened, so please, no spoilers down in the comments section. I think I might know what happened, and I don't want to face it. But if you don't know anything about What We Do in the Shadows, it was first a Taika Waititi movie about a group of vampires living together in New Zealand, mockumentary style. Um, very, very fun. The movie's really good, but the TV show's infinitely better, partly just because I like the characters of the TV show a lot better, but also the episodic nature allows for more just vampire shenanigans, but also more long-running jokes and stuff, and then the inclusion specifically of the energy vampire concept for the TV show, mainly through the character Colin Robinson, but there's a couple others, is just extremely funny. Vampires who feed off of negative energy around them and are therefore deliberately the worst people. So please check out What We Do in the Shadows. If you take nothing else away from this video, fantastic, one of the best shows on TV. After finishing What We Do in the Shadows season 2, I started season 3 the next day, and then I also watched Monster House. So especially a lot of the Halloween movies I was actually able to get watched were more children's ones. Not all of them. We'll get into those later. So Monster House was one that I had been wanting to rewatch for a long time because I saw it, I think, in theaters when I was a kid. And I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good as I remembered. And different from Haunted Mansion, because Haunted Mansion I didn't really remember as being a super good movie, but Monster House I had kind of held in high esteem, I think, in my mind, and going back and watching it, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like what I had thought it was at all. So that's kind of one where I think I'd watch it if it came on, but I probably won't be really going out of my way to watch it again. After Monster House, there were a few days where all I watched was Treehouse of Horror again, and then I watched some Goosebumps. The Goosebumps viewing was for the Dumb Binge Binging podcast once again. Every year in October, we've been watching Goosebumps and splitting the season in half, and then doing a sort of book club style, like telling each other about the episodes we watched and the other didn't. So that's something. Goosebumps is always a super, super good time. It is like the peak of 90s television. So obviously I'd recommend watching Goosebumps every year in October, but then I will also recommend my own podcast episode where we talk about it because it's extremely fun. It's like one of my favorite episodes every year. Continued watching What We Do in the Shadows season 3 after that. Then October 8th and 9th were the days where I just couldn't get any viewing in. But then that weekend I watched Halloweentown, just the first one that weekend. Then also for the Halloweentown is always a really good time. It's probably the most. I mean, it's probably the most iconic of the like DCOM Halloween movies, and I'd say for good reason. It's always great. Cheesy, of course, but like that's part of the charm of it, and I have to watch it every year. So I watched Halloweentown, then I watched, also for the podcast, watched Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight, which was a Polish slasher horror on Netflix. And it was okay. I think it's kind of one where if you're wanting to watch a horror movie, it's a solid choice. But I'm not going to say it's like a must-see or anything. It was very leaned in intentionally from stuff I've read, but like very much leaned into the tropes and the stereotypes of the slasher movie. Um, this is now then where I got caught up to, at the time, was caught up for What We Do in the Shadows season 3, and then so what have at this point watched up through episode 7, and then I haven't watched since. So there's 3 episodes left of the season that I still need to finish. But then I had a almost a week where all I got in was Treehouse of Horror, and then I rewatched season 1 of What We Do in the Shadows since I hadn't watched it for a year. So that was all enjoyable, but nothing exciting. Then the next weekend, I watched the 1990 version with Tim Curry, and that was interesting. It wasn't too scary because it's just old and made for TV and stuff. I still found it scary because I'm afraid of clowns, but overall not too scary, and it was good. I think I would recommend it. I haven't watched the new It movies. I know that they're a lot better, but I also know that they're a lot scarier, and I'm already afraid of clowns, so I've been avoiding it. And then the same night after I watched It, I watched Ma, which came out, I think, 2 years ago, I think in 2019, which is a Blumhouse film. They are one of the current bigger horror production companies. And Ma is the one that was starring Octavia Spencer. Juliette Lewis was also in it. Quite a few bigger names in it, actually. And it was good. I kind of had to decide how I felt about it. I went in thinking it was going to be something different. It was produced and co-written and everything by Tate Taylor, who's done quite a bit of horror, and but he's also done quite a bit of non-horror, including The Help, where he worked with Octavia Spencer before. So I wasn't 100% sure what to expect, but I ended up really enjoying it. It's very, very campy and very, very self-aware. But the insanity of it just keeps escalating until the end of the movie, and there's a lot of things that were like unnecessary or like overdone to an extent, but overall I enjoyed it a lot, and I think I would definitely recommend it. Like I said, it was Blumhouse Productions. They're doing a lot of the bigger horror right now. Blumhouse and A24 are kind of dominating the horror scene. Blumhouse is also responsible for the new Halloween movies, which is what I'm going to talk about next. Because after watching Ma, the next day I watched Halloween 2018. And I cannot recommend Halloween 2018 enough. It was incredible. There are whole YouTube video essays and everything about it. And I know some people didn't like it as much. I liked it quite a bit. I would assume anybody who's at all interested in horror is obviously going to be familiar with the Halloween franchise. Even people who aren't really interested in horror have probably at least heard of it and like seen Michael Myers. So Halloween 2018 is a sort of reboot of the series and a direct sequel to Halloween 1978. And it's fantastic. I really, really liked the way they kind of... First of all, I just really liked the way they wrote Laurie Strode. I know some people didn't, but I thought it was well done, and I really liked the way they kind of put her and Michael against each other. Particularly, there were a few shots towards the end of the movie where it was like almost an exact recreation of a Michael Myers shot from the original, but it was Laurie this time while she was fighting Michael Myers. And I thought that was really, really, really cool. And then I did also see Halloween Kills at the drive-in, like just a few days after I watched Halloween 2018, and Halloween Kills was also really good. I liked it a lot. Halloween 2018, I think, is like the better, like, written movie, but Halloween Kills, the actual, like, kills, like the just slasher parts of the movie were just fantastic. There were a lot of really memorable deaths. Um, so then I watched a few episodes of Courage the Cowardly Dog, um, which is always enjoyable. It's a very good show. Genuinely pretty scary for a kids show. So I'd always recommend that. I watched the Halloween episode of That's So Raven where she and Chelsea turn into cows, because it was just Disney Plus just recommended it, and I just went ahead and watched it, and it held up really well. It's very enjoyable. Then I watched Halloweentown 2, and immediately after Halloweentown 2, I watched Halloweentown High. Halloweentown 2 is definitely the best Halloweentown sequel. It's the one that captures the spirit of the original the best, in my opinion. Um, then Halloweentown High is just ridiculous and a really good time. Towards the end of the month, I ended up watching Return to Halloweentown, which is the final one, and by far the worst one, and I still don't know why they replaced the actor for Marnie. I don't understand it at all, and also just Return to Halloweentown is just the worst made and the worst written. Um, I then watched a good chunk of the Bob's Burgers Halloween episodes, which are always a good time. Bob's Burgers is one of my favorite shows, um, and their Halloween episodes are always really solid. Pretty much every episode is always really solid, but I enjoy all of their holiday episodes, and in particular their Thanksgiving ones, actually. So I'll be watching a lot of those this month. Um, I then watched uh, the Superstore Halloween episodes. So Superstore is a more recent sitcom, I think just ended this last year, that takes place in essentially Walmart. Um, I'm not going to get like too much into it, but it's fantastic. It was one of the best current sitcoms, and I'm sad that it ended. I feel like it kind of ended a little early, so I would definitely recommend just watching Superstore in general, but the Halloween episodes are all really, really fun. Um, so then, shifting gears a little bit, um, actually, I won't shift gears yet. I'm going to talk about the rest of the movies and stuff I watched for the year, then I'll switch gears over to video games more. I know I talked about some video games at the beginning, um, but I did a lot more video gaming towards the end of the month. So then on the 29th, I watched Hocus Pocus. While I was carving a pumpkin, the pumpkin did not turn out well. We're not going to talk about it. But I watched Hocus Pocus, which is kind of the definitive Halloween movie for me. I usually watch it several times a year. I ended up getting it in twice this year, once on the 29th and once actually on Halloween on the 31st. But there's not really anything to be said about Hocus Pocus. If you haven't seen it, I think go watch it. If you are like a typical American and haven't seen Hocus Pocus, I'm not sure how. But I would absolutely recommend it. It's super fun movie, hilarious, just really good time. It is like one of the definitive Halloween movies for me. Then the night before Halloween, I watched A Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time ever. And I really enjoyed it. I think conceptually, A Nightmare on Elm Street is absolutely the scariest of like this big slashers. Um, in effect, not always, because Freddy is just kind of funny. Like he was having way too much fun with it in that movie. But it was still there were still some genuinely scary moments, and the practical effects were incredible. Um, have held up a lot better than like the original Halloween. I think there were some that didn't look great, but there were some parts that were really really cool. Particularly to me when they had like the bed open up and the mom who was like skeletized and burnt like lower down into the bed. I thought that was really really cool. Then I watched Freaky, which was another pretty recent one. It was with Vince Vaughn, where he is a serial killer and he switches bodies with the teenage girl. And it definitely wasn't like good, but it was a great time. I would absolutely recommend watching it. It was very funny and very stupid. And then my friend and I watched The Phantom of the Opera, which maybe isn't necessarily a Halloween movie, but we decided to count it. And it was a good time. It's definitely one of my favorite like movie musicals, so I'd recommend that as well. I'd recommend all three of those. Now I'll shift gears more into video games. So my biggest video game undertakings for the month of October were I played through the Pumpkin Jack game, which came out a couple of years ago. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good game. It was very clear what references and stuff it was pulling from. And the story was fun. The gameplay was fun. Um, my only real complaint with it is that it got very like repetitive by the end. Like I just knew, okay, we're gonna have like this platforming section and then this puzzle section and then a boss fight. Like it was very, very. They really didn't change up the algorithm very much, and then the last few levels in particular, like the puzzles and stuff, got to be really repetitive and samey. Um, which isn't the end of the world or anything. It just made the last few levels a little bit more of a slog than the rest of the game had been to get through. But I would still recommend the game. It was really fun. It would be kind of a good one to play like right now because the last level takes place like at the North Pole. So you kind of get that Halloween Christmas crossover, like Nightmare Before Christmas, which was clearly a really big influence in the game as a whole, but like, so I'd recommend it. Nightmare Before Christmas is one that I will be watching tonight. I watch it November 1st every year. I don't watch it during the Halloween season. I consider it a little bit more of a Christmas movie, but like a transitionary. Like I said, I watch it November 1st, partly because that's when the movie actually starts, but also because that's when I am shifting gears from Halloween to Christmas. I listen to Christmas music early and everything. I kind of like lump Thanksgiving in as part of the Christmas season for me. So I played through the Pumpkin Jack game. My other really big video game undertaking throughout October was just decorating my Animal Crossing New Horizons island. Um, and I had a lot of fun doing that. I like have been getting more into the game, like doing DIY and stuff like that a lot more than I ever did. I didn't actually play on Halloween because I don't enjoy the actual Halloween like holiday in game that much. But I played throughout the rest of the month and decorated, put up pumpkin stuff, and made little costumes from stuff in the Able Sisters, and had a lot of fun with that. Then my smaller video game undertakings towards the end of the month were just I played through the more like spooky, like Halloweeny levels in a lot of my Mario games, like the Booze Mansion levels. Um, there's like the ghost ships, like stuff like that. I played through a lot of. Then I played on Halloween Day. I played a little bit of Into the Pit, which was on Xbox Game Pass, which I use often. Into the Pit was okay. I didn't like, not really super my type of game, but um, it can like it's in the realm of games where it can be fun to me or it can be not my type of game. This one was more not for me. I played it for a little bit. I had fun with it, but I'm not going to be continuing. And then the other like spooky one that I will be continuing that I found on Game Pass is Ring of Pain, which is like a like procedural. You're going through these like ring dungeons, as it calls them, where you can take your path and you're just trying to like stay alive. And it's the type of game where you have to start over every time you die. Um, but just the art style and the atmosphere of the game and everything is very, very creepy, like unsettling, which made it a really good one to play on Halloween. Um, so that's really the majority of it, I think. There's probably a couple that I left out in there. Um, but overall, I had a really fun time with pretty much all of it. The only ones that were really like I think the only thing that really became kind of a slog was like I said, the end of Pumpkin Jack kind of took me a minute to get through, but then in terms of watching, I will not be watching The Haunted Mansion again, I don't think. I just don't feel the need to. It's not going to be necessary anymore. I'll probably make another video like this next year. I'm going to try to watch a lot more next year. Um, I'm going to try to make a list before October and try to just like schedule a movie or episodes of something or whatever every night next year. We'll see how successful I actually am in that. I often have lofty ambitions for those kind of things that usually don't pan out the way I want them to. But um, all that being said, happy Halloween. I hope everybody had a fun, safe Halloween. Um, you can look forward to more videos like this. You can also look forward to more in-depth reviews of media and games, and probably start doing some music reviews and stuff here shortly too. I'll probably do a big video very similar to this one for all the Christmas stuff I've watched and what that one listened to more towards the end of like December or the beginning of January. So keep an eye out for that. That one's probably going to be longer than this one because personally I'm just more into Christmas than Halloween. So there's a lot more that I will probably be watching, and I will be checking out some of the new Christmas albums by bigger artists and stuff that have come out. Um, as for the next few weeks, look forward to I'll be starting a series about a Pokemon region I'm creating with my friend that's based on ancient Greece. So I'll be creating a video series where I'll go through like the geography of the region and the story of the region, Pokemon that can be found, both new ones and regional variants, and all that kind of stuff. Just because it's a fun project, like obviously it's not real. I don't work for the Pokemon company, so they're not going to like take my region or anything, but like it's a fun project, so I'm going to be doing a video on that, or a series of videos on that. And then you can also just look forward to some more gaming content, probably just some general shorter like vlog type videos. But we'll just kind of see. Let me know if there's anything specific you guys want to see in the comments down below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, all that stuff. And then I'll have my Twitch link and my social media links in the description below. Thank you for watching.